What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with only a few days of physique update. From Sergio Oliva Jr. Looking very flat, but streamlined as well. Ahead of his comeback, after almost 2 years, at this upcoming FIBA Germany. Now all the bodybuilders, they have to go through this phase, where they look kind of small, especially in comparison to how they look like when they're big and full as a house. And that is the time when they are totally depleted. And that is to look at their all-time best on the stage. And that happens after they fill out and carb up. Now despite knowing that a top 5 Olympian, Andrew Antoine, is also gonna be on that same stage, well, even in that scenario, Sergio must have this mindset to come in to win this show. Because if that isn't the case, he won't be able to be 100% on the stage. Because the thing is, even when your own heart, that isn't in it, how can you be 100% dialed in? Now the question right now is that, can Sergio make the biggest upset here and beat a guy like Andrew Antoine? Personally, I think he should be more concerned about Samson because Sas looked so damn good at this past Detroit Pro, where he was able to beat a guy like James Hollingshead, and he was giving William Bonac a run for his money. That was a very complete look by Samson front to back, and his confidence also looked insane on the stage. So if Sergio places top 3 behind Andrew Antoine and Samson, would that be considered a huge loss? Well, I'm gonna say yes, it definitely will be seen as a loss, because every bodybuilder's ultimate goal, that is to step on that Miss Olympia stage. And Sergio is now 40 years old, and even if now he isn't winning any pro show, and he still isn't even making top 2, because it is like now or never for him. If his second pro win, that isn't gonna come now, then when will be his time? And I'm afraid his second pro show win, that is never gonna come. And this will be his time to maybe hang up the posing trunks. Now as a fan, I am really glad that he's finally gonna make it to the stage for the first time since Cali Pro back in 2023. And let's just see how true Sergio's claims are that he has never looked this good in the last few shows that he did with Chris Aceto, because he just did not peak right. Now regardless of where Sergio places at FIBA Germany, he should 100% nail his condition.
Underrated bodybuilder in history of the open class. Anybody?
So a very interesting question was asked on the bro chat yesterday, that the most underrated bodybuilder of the last 2 or 3 decades, and who is that person? And I have to say those guys were spot on with their pick, Gustavo Badal. Well, I have to say he wasn't underrated in a sense, and he was overlooked by the judges, or he did not get a high placing at the Olympia. But the fact is, he just doesn't get the recognition that this man deserves.
The Latino guy that won the challenge round that year.
Oh, Gustavo Badal.
Gustavo, yeah.
He's like one of my favorites and underrated. Because like nobody now even knows him. Like younger guys don't know.
I think he's underrated historically, but at the time, at the time he was.
No, that's what I mean. But I mean, in terms of like
at the Olympia,
there's guys that were worse then that are still much more known now compared to him.
What if I tell you guys that he made one of the craziest jumps from his first ever Miss Olympia, which was in 2002, where he did not even place at all, and then this man took 1 year off. He came back in 2004, and he placed top 3 at the Olympia. So why many people out there just do not know him? That is simply due to the fact that Jay Cutler and Ronnie rivalry, that was just way too big at that time. Now just look at the names that Gustavo beat in 2004 and 2005. Dexter Jackson, Chris Cormier, Gunther Schulkamp, Victor Martinez. So those are some of the biggest names in the history of bodybuilding, still to this day. But how often do you guys hear about Gustavo Badal? Now, if I am not mistaken, Milos Sorcev was the mastermind behind Gustavo's transformation and his incredible achievements during his peak years. So looking back at his pro career and how he wasn't doing so well in the first 4 years of his pro career, and then this man absolutely exploded. It is just unbelievable what he was able to accomplish. So all the old school bodybuilding fans, they will remember the year 2005, when Gustavo was able to beat Ronnie Coleman in the challenge round, and Ronnie was so angry on those results. And if you listen to Milos Sorcev and some of his old interviews, they actually analyzed each competitor's weaknesses before the challenge round, and that was a superb strategy involved in winning that historic challenge round. So I completely agree with the pick of all these guys, as Gustavo being one of the most underrated guy So do you guys have any other IFBB pro in your mind that falls in that same category? Guys, we have a limited time offer. If you buy any flavor of Bloodshot, you are gonna get a free Dying Breed t-shirt. The discount code is on the screen right now, and use the code Fazi10 to get 10% extra discount. Antoine Wyland just posted a new physique update, and this isn't exactly his official announcement that he's no longer gonna be competing, but saying that he wants to get more flexible and more healthy. That can mean only one thing, that competing in a bodybuilding show, that is no longer his goal. And that does kind of make sense. He has a family now, and it isn't like Antoine is a young guy anymore. So he turned pro more than a decade back. He is one of the most experienced IFBB pro right now, but we just did not see him compete a lot more due to his own personal problems. So this guy has stepped on Miss Olympia stage multiple times, but the way the season is turning out to be, it is gonna be so much more harder to win a pro show now and get back on that Miss Olympia stage, especially this year, because the top guys, they have decided to compete multiple times. Now if this is really the end of the competitive side of bodybuilding for Antoine, then we must remember his ordinary performance from last year, and that was his all-time best, especially the package that we saw from him in Ohio. He looked so amazing for that shoe, absolutely ripped and peeled to the bone. And this is a guy who used to compete at a relatively heavier body weight, but the lineup was just way too good for Antoine last year. Now don't get me wrong, that same physique that might have qualified for the Olympia last year, but it is all gonna come down to who shows up to battle. So there were some comments regarding Samson Dauda, and how can this man still be so damn huge and so goddamn big while not even running TRT or any sort of gear or PEDs? Well, guess what? We all initially thought the same way about Samson Dauda, but Samson has maintained the same stance for so many years now that his off means totally and completely off every single thing. So yes, this guy isn't even running TRT right now. And just look at his current size. Extremely impressive. And at this point, one can easily say that he cannot even get fat, even if he tries to do that. But the fact is, if you have followed Samson's journey from when he first came onto the scene, he did not have any kind of success at the start of his pro career. In fact, he was struggling to win his first pro show up until the end of 2021. I mean, multiple current IFBB pros, they can look back and say that they beat the reigning Miss Olympia Samson Dauda just a few years back. So that ability of Samson Dauda to get bigger from show to show, that made him very special. And that is the reason he is your reigning Miss Olympia. Now technically speaking, he wasn't the most right guy on that Miss Olympia stage last year when he won, but he was the best bodybuilder on that stage. He had the better overall package. So really looking forward to him getting full blown in this upcoming off season. So the judges wanna see Samson Dauda bring more detail and better conditioning to defend his Olympia title, which only means one thing. The man is gonna have to suffer harder than ever to accomplish that task. So for a guy who is 100% natural for 6 weeks now, he does look pretty damn unreal. Next up, we have the off-season physique update of Christian Zagarella. So Keon Pearson is most probably gonna win his 3rd consecutive 212 Olympia title. There is just no stopping this guy. But the other two guys that everyone should be keeping their eyes on, that's Nihat Kaya and Christian Zagarella. So Christian Zagarella is in an ideal case scenario right now. He won a pro show in that post-Olympia tour, and he got his Olympia qualification. And the man is using this entire year to overall improving his physique in every single way. So the judges finally rewarded his elite genetics, his aesthetics, last year over Ahmad Ashkelani. The same guy Christian lost to twice back in 2023. Now this guy has a crazy small waist, that insane quad sweep. He has a picture perfect front double bicep shot, and is a perfect definition of classic in the 212. And actually this guy was initially competing in classic physique division, and then he switched over to a bigger division. And his X-frame that has been looking way more pronounced and way better in 212 class. So Christian is making sure that he stays in a good condition during this off season while getting bigger. If only he can put more density all over his physique, he will definitely move into that Olympia top 5 or maybe even higher this year. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.